Today we will discuss about the histology slide of the gastrointestinal tract, genitourinary tract and male genital system. First of all, we will discuss about the pancreas. The pancreas is covered with the thin layer of loose connective tissue capsule, and from this capsule thin septa arise from it, and this divide the gland into the small lobules. This interlobular connective tissue contains the large duct, blood vessels and nerve fibers, and interlobular connective tissue surround the acini, small ducts and island of Langerhans cells. So here you can see this is the diagram of the pancreas, and you can see this is the serous acini. This one is the serous acini. It is a darkly stained, and there is a lightly stained. It is the Langerhans islet of Langerhans cells, which secretes it has alpha and beta cells, and it secretes the insulin and glucagon. Centroacinar cell lined by the intercalated ducts. Here you can see this is the centroacinar cells which line to the intercalated duct, interlobular duct. Here you can see this is the fibromuscular septa, and in between there is a interlobular duct and many main and accessory pancreatic ducts. So this is about to the pancreas. Esophagus, basically gastrointestinal tract, which is formed by the four layer: mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa, or it is called the muscular layer, and adventitia. So throughout gastrointestinal tract from esophagus to the anal canal, it basically formed by the four layers: mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa or muscular layer, and adventitia. So we will discuss about the esophagus. The mucosa, which is covered by the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Lamina propria, which is thin and it contains the loose connective tissue. Thick muscularis mucosa contain only longitudinal muscles. Inside the submucosa, you can see the esophageal gland and star-shaped lumen and compound tubuloalveolar glands. Muscularis externa or muscular layer in upper one-third of the esophagus, which is formed by the skeletal muscles. Middle one-third, it is the skeletal as well as smooth muscles, and the lower one-third, it contains the only smooth muscles. And there is muscular externa, there is a inner circular muscle and outer longitudinal, and the outermost layer, it is called the adventitia, and it is formed by the loose connective tissue layers without the peritoneum. So here you can see these are the four layer: mucosa, which is formed by the stratified non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and it also contained the basal lamina. This is a basal lamina, and the lamina propria and muscularis mucosa. So all three together it is called the mucosa, and inside the submucosa you can see the esophageal glands, and muscularis externa, you can see there is a inner circular layer and outer longitudinal muscles, and adventitia, which is formed by the loose connective tissue. Stomach, this is the fundus part of the stomach. Mucosa, which is lined by the simple columnar epithelium. There is a shallow gastric pits. Here you can see this is the shallow gastric pits. Lamina propria, which contains the chief and parietal cells. Here you can see these are the chief cells, and this is the parietal cells. In tubulofundic glands, so this is the tubulofundic glands, and this is also a glands. Submucosa consists of dense connective tissue, blood vessels and nerve plexus. This is the submucosa. The muscular layer inside the stomach, it is three layers, inner to outers, there is a oblique, circular and longitudinal layers. Normally there are gastrointestinal tract, there are two layers you have to remember. It is the inner circular and outer longitudinal, but inside the stomach there are three layers: oblique, circular and longitudinal layers. Second thing you have to remember, most of the GIT tract, gastrointestinal tract, which is lined by the simple columnar epithelium, except the esophagus and the anal canal, most terminal part of the anal canal, where there is a frictions which occur, wear and tear which is more occur. These places there is a presence of the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. So the esophagus and the terminal part of the anal canal, which is lined by the stratified squamous epithelium. Muscular layer we already discussed, and serosa, which is lined by the peritoneum containing the loose connective tissue. Here you can see the slide of the fundus of the stomach, and this is the gastric pits, and this is the gastric glands. This one is the between this gastric glands or gastric pits there is a lamina propria. Here you can see this is the lamina propria. This is the muscular mucosa. This is the submucosa, which contains the blood vessels and nerve plexuses. And Muscularis Externa, here there is a three layers: oblique layer, middle circular and outer longitudinal layer, and the most outer it is called the serosa, which is lined by the peritoneum. Pyloric part of the stomach, it is the same as the fundic part of the stomach, but there is some difference. It is the deep gastric pits. So the gastric pits, which is the very deep as compared to the fundic part, and there is a presence of the pyloric glands, and there is at the pyloric sphincter there is a circular layer of the smooth muscles, which is very thick as compared to the others. Remaining portion, which is the same as the fundic part. Next slide, it is the duodenum. Duodenum, the mucosa and submucosa are thrown into the circular fold. It is called the plica circularis. The mucosal fold, it is permanent in nature and do not disappear on the distension. Function of the plica circularis is to slow the passage of the content and to increase the surface area of the mucosa, but mainly the surface area of the mucosa, which is increased by the villi. In the slide of the duodenum, we already discussed there are basic four layers: mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa or muscular layer, and serosa. Mucosa, which is lined by the simple columnar epithelium with striated border, and there is a presence of the globulate cells. Leaf or finger-like intestinal villi. Muscularis mucosa. Submucosa, it contains the, particularly inside the duodenum, there is a Bronus glands, and along with it there is a similar structure. It is the dense connective tissue which lies the blood vessels and nerve plexus. Muscular layer, you have to remember, small intestine and large intestine, only two layers, inner circular and outer longitudinal layer. And serosa, which is formed by the loose connective tissue which is covered by the peritoneum. Here you can see this is the slide of the duodenum, schematic diagram. So this is the columnar epithelium with the presence of microvilli. It leads to there is a brush borders. It increase the microvilli, basically increase the surface area. Globulate cells which secretes the mucus, and presence of the crypt of lubricants. It is the gland, intestinal glands, and mainly the Bronus glands, which is lies inside the submucosa. Normally inside the jejunum and ileums there is a glands which is lies inside the mucosa, but inside the duodenum the glands which is mostly lies inside the submucosa, and that is this gland, it is called the Bronus gland. An inner circular layer and outer longitudinal layers, only two layers, while inside the stomach there are 3 layers we already discussed, and serosa, which is the covered mainly by the peritoneum. The jejunum, it is the nearly similar structure, but it is the inside the mucosa there is a tongue or long club shaped intestinal villi. Here you can see there is a villi which is very long, and there is a lamina propria, there is a crypt of lubricants, and submucosa there is a absence of Bronus Gland, you have to remember, and absence of pair patches. There is sometimes there is a solitary lymphatics. There is inner circular and outer longitudinal, and there is a serosa, which is the peritoneum containing the connective tissue. So here I will discuss about what is crypt of lubricant. These are the simple tubular glands which have been formed by the downward extension of the groove between the base of the villi up to the lamina propria. So here you can see this is the base of the villi, and it is the present at the base of the villi. These are the crypt of lubricant. Here you can see this is a prescribed or nomenclature, and it is between the base of the villi up to the lamina propria, and in these glands there is a presence of globulate cells as well as there is a stem cells, and these stem cells which proliferate by mitosis, and it produces the both kind of the cells, globulate cell as well as columnar cells. The ileum, it is a similar structure, but the villi, it is the short, slender, finger-like intestinal villi, globulate cells. The identifications, mainly the pair patches. It is the lymphatic nodules which is present inside the ileum, inside the mucosa. While inside the duodenums, there is a presence of the Bronus gland inside the submucosa. And inside the jejunum, we already discussed, there is a villi which is very long and it is finger-like, and there is a crypt of lubricants which is abundant as compared to the ileum. Remaining structure which is nearly similar as all three together, duodenum, jejunum and ileum. So here you can see this slide, it is the ileum, and there is a mucosa, it is the villi which is short as compared to the jejunum, and there is a presence of the pair patches. It is the lymphatic nodules which is present inside the ileum, and if there is a gland which is present inside the submucosa, then it is the Bronus gland, and it is present inside mainly inside the duodenum. So this is the difference between the duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Remaining things which is the same. Large intestine, it is lined by the simple columnar epithelium, crypt of lubricant, and more globulate cell as compared to the small intestine. Lamina propria, there is a discrete lymphatic follicles, and there is a absence of the intestinal villi. Submucosa, which is same as the dense connective tissue, as lies inside the small intestine and the stomach also, and it is contains the blood vessels and nervous plexus. Muscularis Externa, smooth muscles, it is the same as the small intestine, inner circular and outer longitudinal, but it is comparatively thin as compared to the small intestine. And serosa and adventitia, it is not lined by the mainly by the peritoneum, but it is the connective tissue. So here you can see this is the slide of the large intestine. There is a comparatively it is lined by the columnar epithelium with you have to remember more globulate cells as compared to the small intestine. And remaining structure, it is nearly same. You have to also see there is a tinea coli inside the it is a longitudinal muscles fibers, which is present inside the outer to the Muscularis Externa, and which is present inside the large intestine. Appendix: mucosa, which is simple columnar epithelium, numerous globulate cells, few crypt of lubricants, absence of intestinal villi, lamina propria, lymphatic nodules are abundant, angular lumens and muscularis externa, inner circular and outer longitudinal, both layers are comparatively thin, and cirrhosis are an advantage. Gallbladder, it is you have to remember there is absence of submucosa. Mucosa, it is the simple columnar epithelium, striated border with the microvilli. There is a absence of submucosa, presence of fibromuscular layer, or it is called the muscularis externa. In this layer, randomly circular, longitudinal and oblique smooth muscles, as well as in between there is a dense connective tissue that is rich in elastic tissue and collagen tissue, and serosa and adventitia. So basically you have to remember the gallbladder, how to separate it from the gastrointestinal tract, means the duodenum and jejunum and ileum and large intestine. It is differentiated by the absence of submucosa, and also there is a fibromuscular layers which contains the three kind of muscles, which is the circular, longitudinal and oblique muscles, and in between there is a presence of dense connective tissue that is rich in elastic and collagen tissue. This is the difference. And inside the gallbladder also there is a crypt of lubricants which is absent or very less as compared to the small intestine. But basically you have to remember there is absence of the submucosa. Liver, hexagon or polygonal hepatic lobules, portal triad, branches of the inside the portal triad, branches of the hepatic artery, portal vein and hepatic duct. Centrally there is a center of the lobules, there is a presence of central veins, radiating hepatic cord and sinusoid from the central veins, and there is space of Disse. It is a space between the sinusoidal epithelium is separated from the underlying hepatocyte by a small space. It is called the space of Disse. Here you can see this is the hexagonal or polygonal lobules, and this is the portal triad, and inside the portal triad there is a, you can see there is a bile duct, hepatic artery and portal veins, and in this all six corners there is a presence of the portal triad, and in between the hepatic lobules there is a centrally there is a presence of the central veins, and the remaining thing here you can see these are the hepatocytes, and in between there is a sinusoids. And some cells you can see inside the liver, mainly the cells you can present inside the liver are the hepatocytes. Kupffer cells are phagocytic in nature, endothelial cell lining to the sinusoids, and Ito cells found into the perisynovial space. These cells involve into the storage of vitamin A and lipid. Slide of the tongue, which is lined by the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. This is the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and there is a conical and mushroom shape. There is a conical filiform, and the mushroom shape it is a fungiform papilla. This is the filiform papilla, which is the narrow, and this is a broad, it is a fungiform papilla. And basically inside the stratified squamous epithelium there is a presence of the taste bud, which is the main identification. It is the presence of the taste bud, as well as there is a fungiform and filiform papillae. Presence of the lingual mucosal glands. At the bottom of the trench there is a opening of serous gland, it is called the von Ebner. Here this gland which is open, serous gland which is open at the base bottom, it is called the von Ebner. And presence of the taste bud on the surface epithelium, it is the main identification of the slide of the tongue. Also there is a presence of the striated or skeletal muscles. In the slide of the lip, non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium on inner sides, and outer side which is lined by the keratinized stratified squamous epithelium with sweat glands and sebaceous gland, labial mucosal gland, erector palli muscles and hair follicles which is present on the outer sides of the lips, and orbicularis oris, it is the thick skeletal muscles which is present inside the lip slide. Here you can see this is lined by the stratified squamous epithelium. This is a non-keratinized, and here this is a keratinized, and you can see this is a hair follicle. Along with it there is a sebaceous gland which is present inside the slide of the lip.